This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Today, the media has been ablaze with the news that Meghan Markle is planning to return back to the UK. Yes, you heard correctly. The Sussex PR machine is pumping out these articles fast and furious about Meghan Markle has a return plan back to the UK. Now, I'm sure many of you Brits are excited to hear this. I'm joking, obviously. We're going to talk about this in a minute. I just want to bring to your attention one article out of the sea of many articles of Harry going back home and extending the olive branch and Meghan extending the olive branch to Catherine and the Invictus Games and Harry likely to get his security back. I mean, tons of articles indicating this. There was one article that stuck out like a sore thumb that I want to read and give my opinion on what's likely to happen. And that article was by the Mercury News with the headline, "Could U.S. taxpayers be on the hook for Harry and Meghan's security?" Well, naturally, this caught my attention. The article says, by Martha Ross from the Bay Area in California, even die-hard Sussex Squad members might be hard-pressed to justify Prince Harry and Meghan Markle potentially becoming eligible to receive round-the-clock security while living in California as self-exiled royals, provided to them by local, state, or federal law enforcement and paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. I'm convinced the royal experts and part of the ROTA get a kick out of gaslighting the public. It continues by saying, royal experts said this week that could happen if Harry wins approval from the British Home Office to once again receive automatic high-level protection when he visits the United Kingdom. Harry and Meghan lost that protection in 2020 when they decided to stop being working members of the royal family and move to the United States to launch careers in media, philanthropy, and lifestyle branding. Here's what bugs me about this. Now it's being brought up that potentially the United States could be footing the bill here for Harry and Meghan's security, as if we weren't talking about this for the last 5 years. Should this couple get their status back, what was going to happen? Why are they introducing this now on the tail end to this almost released decision? And my guess is because the whole entire time they didn't want people to think that Harry and Meghan were going to be provided 24/7 security because that was going to turn a lot of people off. The more that these two moaned and whined about it, and if it was brought up that the United States taxpayer was going to have to foot the bill, you know that they were going to face a difficult battle. So they were very quiet about it. But they're also not talking about the access to the intelligence as well as the immunity that they will get if they are classified now as diplomatic status. The article continues on with Richard Eden explaining this. Since then, Harry and Meghan have had to find ways to pay for their own security, but that could change if the British government decides they merit protection. The couple could then be entitled to the status of internationally protected persons under international law, said Daily Mail columnist Richard Eden. This would put them in the same category as diplomats visiting heads of state or other members of the British royal family traveling to the United States on official business. For such dignitaries, the U.S. provides security, which is something Americans probably understand, just as the British government extends this courtesy to visiting American officials, Eden said. But he pointed out that Harry and Meghan no longer represent the British government or work on its behalf. They live as private citizens in a $30 million mansion in Montecito. One would think that after 5 years of telling us how much this Olive Garden castle costs, this journalist would get it right. How many times have we heard that this Montecito castle costs $14.6 million? I mean, every single tabloid article has to mention it and throw it in people's faces. It's not a $30 million mansion, Richard. But I digress. And any public appearances they make are on behalf of themselves, their commercial brands, or nonprofit causes they're trying to promote. When you have a couple who live in the United States getting protection 24 hours a day, that's a whole different kettle of fish, Eden said on the Daily Mail's Palace Confidential YouTube channel. Fellow columnist Richard Kay said he heard that Harry and Meghan have to fork over an estimated $10 million a year for security, given the possible threats they receive as globally famous celebrities who have many loyal fans, but who also have become divisive figures and increasingly unpopular in the United Kingdom. Okay, let me pause for a second because I'm pretty sure if you're an American, your blood is probably starting to boil, as did with mine. Like, we're supposed to feel sorry that this guy has to spend $10 million a year on security because they've become so divisive? Well, whose fault was that? You can't possibly blame the public for not liking these two and their bad behavior. Actions have consequences. That shouldn't be our responsibility to pick up and absorb the costs for these two assholes who put themselves in that position. Like, I really don't care if this is going to help save money for Harry and Meghan. I don't want one penny of my tax money going towards them. Eden goes on to say it would mean they are under less pressure financially, adding that viewers of the couple's 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey might recall Harry saying that he and Meghan had no choice but to pursue lucrative deals with Netflix and Spotify because their funding for security had been cut when they left the UK. Richard Eden is acting as if, like, Meghan and Harry are going to be evicted from their home and they're going to have to cut coupons. Like, I don't care. What happened to all those lucrative deals and the money that came in from that? Or how about the USAID and your nonprofit Fugazi charity? What happened to all that money? Like, I really don't care if they're going to struggle financially. That's their own problem, not mine. In addition to creating potential diplomatic headaches for Harry's father, King Charles, letting the couple be designated as internationally protected persons will also open a can of worms within the royal family. For now, even working royals, such as the king's siblings, Princess Anne and Prince Edward, only receive police protection when they are carrying out public engagements. It would be bizarre for Harry and Meghan, who carry out no public duties, to have round-the-clock protection, but not the working royals, Eden said. Harry's security issues in the UK have been back in the news as he prepares to travel to London next week for a court case involving one of his lawsuits against a British tabloid. Last spring, he lost his long-running court battle with the Home Office over its decision to remove his security. Actually, Harry and Meghan are eligible to receive police protection while in the UK, but on a case-by-case basis and must notify the Home Office a month in advance. Still, he complained in a BBC interview that the decision to revoke his automatic protection has made it difficult for him to reconcile with his estranged father. It also means he doesn't feel safe bringing Meghan and their two children to the UK to visit, therefore making it impossible for his children to spend time with their grandfather. Harry subsequently appealed the decision directly to the Home Office, which has agreed to review its decision by conducting a new risk assessment. Okay, so here is my opinion and thoughts about this, and I hope, Harry, you're listening. Donald Trump is not going to give you and your bitch wife 24/7 security paid by the taxpayer. He didn't do it the first time. He certainly is not going to do it now. Secondly, before the Harkles consider throwing out a PR smear campaign about how Donald Trump is not respecting international law and the Geneva Convention, ask Donald Trump if he cares. We are the United States of America, and the Constitution is the law of the land. We have no obligation to follow international law. The United Nations does not tell America what to do, especially when we are the main source of funding. And another thing, this is not really about cost savings because he has more than enough money to pay for his own security. This is really about the immunity and access to intelligence. Intelligence that can be used maliciously against people that they don't like and they want to shut down. In addition, I wouldn't put it past them if they had access to intelligence to be selling that information to adversaries. You can't trust these two. And Harry, if you're listening, you might get security, but you're not going to get the access and the immunity that you're thinking that you're going to get. Now, I can assure you that the Trump administration is very aware of what Harry and his wife have been up to these past 5 years. And because Harry has been involved with all this censorship stuff, and this is what's bubbling over right now between the United States and the UK, Harry getting his security back and status will just add fuel to the fire. Now, I know that there's been a whole bunch of rumors flying around about Harry having his security back and the decisions already made. What we're seeing now is just a whole PR show, which it does look very much like it. But here's the thing. If he does have the status back, it doesn't mean that he has anything here in the United States that has been approved. These articles that we see here with Meghan gives me a strong indication that they don't. Now, I have said this quite a few times now that we were going to start to see more and more of these articles coming out to create these optics as well as shape the perception of whatever reality that Harry and Meghan are trying to drive here, which is forcing the hand of the Home Office to give back this security. This is an obvious campaign that Harry and Meghan are running. Today, Tom Sykes writes, Prince Harry and Meghan laid groundwork for move back to Britain. And in this article, okay, you can't be any more obvious. Tom Sykes writes, on Saturday, the Royalists reported that the Duchess of Sussex was planning a return to the United Kingdom as soon as this summer. Now, the funny thing here is that Tom Sykes is the one who is behind the Royalists. Now, some of you might be familiar with Tom Sykes. You've probably seen him on Dan Wooten. In recent articles that are being published, many people think that Tom Sykes is anti-Harry and Meghan. No, Tom Sykes is going along with this sham. Because for those that weren't here from the very beginning, you wouldn't know that Tom Sykes was being fed stories directly from Harry and Meghan. This was the story. Fearful Prince Harry and Meghan Markle report multiple drone flybys to LAPD will now pay for own security. Now, as Meghan and Harry's PR team were trying to create the optics that Harry and Meghan were hunted by the paparazzi, they were literally leaking these stories to Tom Sykes. As revealed in 2022, Radar Online exposed that they obtained a Freedom of Information request filed by the Los Angeles Police Department in which a loyal reporter outed a spin doctor for the Sussexes as being a source of information. The spokesperson was later credited in the planted published report as the so-called friend. The royal scribe Tom Sykes from the Daily Beast sought information in 2020 from the LAPD about an incident where drones have flown as low as 20 feet above their property to snatch photographs of the couple and their young son Archie. A source told Sykes the couple had been coping with unimaginable levels of press intrusion at their temporary new home, the 8-bedroom, 12-bathroom Tuscan-style villa owned by their friend Tyler Perry. As a result, the Daily Beast reported the pair intended to hire their own security team paid for by themselves. But Radar Online can reveal a spokesperson for the royal outcasts were the ones who spewed the story to Sykes. This is what makes Harry look like such a fool, because it's all this leaking and planting, you know, how he hates when the royals do it, but he and his bitch wife do it too. And this situation today, with all of these stories being pushed out about Meghan going back to the UK in the summer, is the same deal. Tom Sykes is writing a full blog about how Meghan, a source close to Meghan, states that she is planning her return back to the UK, and then writes this article for the Daily Beast thinking that people are stupid and not realizing that he's talking about himself and referencing his blog. And then Meghan has The Sun and then the Sunday Times, who I've lost a lot of respect now for the mere fact that they're going along with this propaganda campaign. I thought the Sunday Times was somewhat serious and respectable, but obviously not. All I can say with what is going on, it's all for distraction. This is not the reality. This is not the truth either. Now, I posted this up on X today. This is the truth. This is why I suspect Harry and Meghan are so desperate to run back to the UK and be on palace grounds. As I wrote today, almost 5 years ago, I started a petition on change.org for Prince Harry's visa to be revoked and he be deported. On November 16, 2021, I wrote, "Our First Amendment rights are under attack by a non-U.S. citizen, and his name is Prince Harry from the UK. He is using his noble status to interfere with our free speech. It appears that Prince Harry assumes his family's power and wealth entitles him to manipulate the U.S. media in efforts to censor people online who disagree with his wife's propaganda. This couple has been proven to have lied to the public on numerous occasions, but has the support of the major media outlets to suppress anything that does not align with their agendas. Meghan and Harry have been creating false narratives and spreading misinformation. For the safety of the American people, the U.S. government must investigate Prince Harry's online behavior if he is boldly asserting that he knew about a coup the day before the January 6th event at the Capitol. We should not excuse him from the possibility of having involvement in gaslighting people under fake social media accounts, contributing to the disruption and misinformation being spread in order to support his position to censor the internet as a humanitarian crisis. I was not wrong. By 2026, many people are finally waking up to the real fallout from overlooking the hard truths about what Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were supposed to accomplish after relocating to America. Their covert mission would have succeeded had Kamala won. America would be going down the same destructive path as the UK right now. Scary to think. Decisive action needs to be taken. Prince Harry, as a non-citizen from the UK, should face repercussions for his involvement with the censorship cabal leading up to the 2020 election and his repeated attacks on the First Amendment, and by proxies, targeting, intimidating, and silencing people online. And I put that there, and of course, I've copied in all the appropriate government officials for their awareness. So everything that we're watching right now with Harry and Meghan is just theater. Now, I've said this before, if Harry and Meghan get their security back, it's because the UK needs to protect itself and the crown. It's not going to matter, though. If the United States wants to prosecute him, they will. Yeah, I wouldn't test Donald Trump right now, Harry. I'm going to go ahead and end this video with this post made by Foster 11 days ago, where they write, Neil Sean just reported Harry told someone very close to him that his life is a series of emergencies, one that he is not prepared to carry on living through. A very telling comment on where his head is at the moment. Now, what kind of life emergencies is Harry going through that would make him feel like he just doesn't want to carry on living through? Could it be that things might be catching up to him? You know, things that he was doing and involved with these past 5 years? To name a few. The Archwell Fugazi Public Charity, the censorship, the 2020 election, knowing about J6. That is just of what we know. Imagine what we don't know. Yeah, I can only imagine how he must be feeling if prison is staring in his face. But those are just my thoughts and opinions. My conspiracy theories that people just can't seem to wrap their heads around until 5 years later. But definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.